Hello and welcome everybody to the newest installment in Paris Squared, threefold, based on the modern age system by Green Ronin. Today's session is called Glozel is Real, Part 5. You have been and gone from the Dulac estate, and you're back in Paris. So you've now made a couple of decisions what you want to do. Is first of all, you're going to go to Glozel. So we are going to jump a little bit ahead into the future because you still need to finish your year at uni. You have to sit your exams, but towards the beginning of July, mid-July, you're going to travel to Glozel. You've also found a beautiful place where you're going to stay. It's Le Clos de Bourbon, de Bourgogne, Le Clos de Bourgogne,
yeah.
Hotel, which is not quite in Glozel because Glozel is too small to even have even an inn. You've done some research, so you have found what Glozel looks like, and the problem is I'm unable to actually, oh, can I? Does this work? Haha! Okay, I stand corrected, yes. So I'm going to share my screen. You also have it in your Discord, but so that everyone sees it, including people in the stream. This is what Glozel looks like. So it's in German, so I'm just gonna tell everyone what this means. Up here we've got Champ de Mort, which simply means field of the dead, or actually Lichfield, for those of you who are a little bit into linguistics. There's a butcher shop. There is a Catholic church. Obviously, this is France, so it's Catholic. This is where this is La Mairie. So basically, that's the town hall, and also the mayor lives in the town hall because it's a very small place. And there is an inn, but it's really just a where you go and can get some food, bar food. So it's more like a pub.
More like a pub, yeah.
Yeah,
more like
exactly.
A pub, I think, yeah.
And those small houses are, and this is not drawn to scale, so these are actually farmsteads. So this is very, very rural. It's totally farmland, has been, as you have done your research, for the last 200 to 300 years. This has never been industrialized, and there are also some vineyards to the south of Glozel. So it's well, you know, the province of France. So basically, this is rural France. It's been the same for the last 200 to 300 years, and you saw pictures of it as well, because even on Google Street View you can see the town today, because of course Glozel is real, and it hasn't changed because there was no war there, so it's all still the old buildings. And that is the one thing that you're going to do. And the other thing that you were going to do, and the other thing you were going to do is you were going to go and take the picture of this writing that you found in Aramaic behind, or rather inside the fireplace in the West Wing. You took a picture, so you're going to take this to France, to the Bibliothèque Nationale or the Sorbonne, depending on where you want to go, to have someone translate it for you.
I think, so I think first would be to go to our library that we know and see if we can find anything, because Amelie has no idea if this is difficult to translate, or if there is like, hey, here you have science language translate. She's curious. If not, Sorbonne would be, I think, step 2, but step 1 would be, I think, our typical library. And have a snoop around if we can find a helpful book.
There are plenty of books about Aramaic, simply because it is the language of Christ. It's very well described. There is extant literature. The Qumran papers are one part of it. And of course, people can read it. The issue is that, you know it yourself, even just with it's not a an Indo-European language. It's a Semitic language. So unless you speak a Semitic language, which in your case neither you nor Celeste do, even if you had a dictionary, since you don't know the grammar at all, since you don't know how the language itself works, you won't be able to just sit there and read it.
Okay.
But I can show you, and of course this is now kind of a little bit of a joke. But I did give you something that does look like Aramaic. So you can read it, of course, because it is an English text that I've just transliterated. So what you have to do is you have to actually go to somebody who speaks Aramaic. It's not a problem to find someone. There are plenty of scholars.
We also have time, so it's not a problem if they say, hey, we'll leave it and we will take a few days. That is fine.
Okay, so the text actually reads, "For he who is born to be called King of Kings will open a portal to let in the immortal light, to save us all. He must be killed, and those that hear the words from the source of truth must close it."
Okay. Immortal light, we had that before, didn't we?
Yeah, la lumière immortelle. It was referenced in the letter that you found, and you know, or you found out that this can either refer to Mother Mary, Mary, Mother of God, or Mother of Christ, or Lucifer himself. So both are called La Lumière Immortelle. So it could be both of them or either of them.
Yeah, with the King of Kings.
That is usually, or that is one moniker for Christ himself.
Yeah.
And you also, I don't know if you recall, but you have heard something like the source of truth. The translation of, well, the word, you know, the Templars are supposedly, or were supposedly given something called the head of Baphomet. And the head of Baphomet, the word Baphomet, is derived supposedly from an ancient Arabic term which translates as source of truth or mouth of truth. And they've been accused of being heretics by the church and of listening to Baphomet rather than Christ himself. So that basically, if this is true, then maybe those who listen or hear the words from the source of truth may even relate to or refer to the Knights Templars themselves.
I will share with Celeste. I don't like this. He must be killed.
Well, I mean, if it is Christ that they're talking about, they killed him, all right.
But it sounds like we have to do it again.
So we're essentially waiting for the Son of God to manifest and kill him? The second coming. When was that going to be again?
Not sure. Can you show just what you showed? Just he must be killed, and those that hear the words. If you can share again, if it wants to.
I'm just gonna put it in the chat.
Because ad hoc I didn't find it in.
It's in the chat.
Okay, perfect.
In actual
Thank
transliteration.
You. They must close the portal. I don't wanna. What if we find a portal there?
I mean, you did see that in the letter they said that there was a cave, and so the
And
old
they want
guy.
to close it. That's
Yeah.
what we know as well. So the idea
Yeah.
was it must be closed. But if it has been there for literally centuries, it seems it doesn't hurt anyone.
Well, I mean, the thing is that somebody came in and tried to steal the picture because they were going to try and find out what was going on. So somebody opened a portal to find the painting to begin with.
True.
So if there's a second portal, maybe it's just being activated now, or maybe it's holding fast because they tried to close it, because they did say that they were going to, that they knew what they had to do and just basically close themselves off in that, or sealed themselves into that cave. So maybe the cave is no longer holding, maybe the seal is no longer holding. So just because it hasn't done anything for the last couple of 100 years, the fact that somebody's so dead bent on getting the painting from them and finding out what's going on indicates to me that something is going to happen.
So, if we see the portal, we need to also hear the words from the source before we can close it. If it talks Aramaic, it's nice that we hear it. We will not be able to understand it.
Well, I mean, we don't even have the head.
Well, we will see up front, but I think we should. We should maybe prepare and see if we can have like a contact here that knows Aramaic in case we find more in this language that we can like mail it over. Do you have the chance to translate?
Sure.
Then let's have a snoop around, and whoever translated that for us, I think, would be the first one basically to ask if they would be up in the time when we are planning in Glozel. That it might be that we find more. If we can text them, if that would be fine for them. Just preparing that we have someone. Because I suspect this is not a language that you can just learn in like a month or two. And
No.
Amelie has no time to learn a thing because she has other things she has to learn.
I was just going to say, also learning a language, any language, is difficult anyway. So especially one that isn't part of your own language family.
Then we will get at least a contact where we can send something in case we find anything.
Yeah, okay. So basically, and now I have a problem because I don't know where that is. A title spreadsheet? No, that's not it. Okay, I don't have the name lists, so we'll just have to make
No
up a
problem.
French-sounding name. We will call the person. Roll over d6 for me, please. 1, 2, 3. It's a woman. 5, 4, 5, 6.
6.
Okay, so it's a male person, and his name is Olivier. Valette. Olivier Valette. And you have to write it down because I don't have a list. So he is the guy who is actually an associate professor of Semitic languages at the Sorbonne.
Cool. So we have his email.
Yeah.
He's probably a professor doctor, I suspect.
He's a doctor, and he's got a doctorate, yes.
Yep. Cool.
So you can use him as your contact.
Awesome.
But of course he does inquire where you got this text from, because it's not a piece of text that he has ever seen, and he has seen plenty. What do you tell him?
That we found it in an old house out in the countryside.
Which house?
Would we tell? I think Amelie would not tell. We would need to ask the owner if he is fine for us sharing this. Not sure. If you're really interested, we can ask the owner.
Well, I mean, to be quite honest, unless this is a hoax, which would be a very elaborate hoax, because people don't just come up with texts and in ancient Aramaic, and you said you found it in an old house. I mean, that would be a very elaborate hoax, and I'm also not getting at what the deeper meaning of this hoax would be, because it's not like, these are the words of the living Christ, or whatever. The text itself means nothing to me. It obviously means something to you. So if this is a hoax, then you're either being had by somebody or you're having me on, but if you're trying to have me on, it's not working, because to me it doesn't.
Well, we have to. It's an old house. It belonged, when it was built centuries ago, to a Templar. So we suspect it's from that time, because it's very old and the family weren't really aware of it anyhow. It was a bit hidden. So we are just curious. We're helping the owner to collect more information about his ancestors.
All right. Having said this, just for your information, this language was long dead by the time the Templars appeared on the scene.
Okay.
So I believe what you're saying. I'm just telling you that this is ancient Aramaic. It was spoken around the time of Christ. The Templars didn't hit the scene until the 12th century, so 1,200 years ago. I'm not saying that nobody speaks or spoke a language related to this, but it would be like saying we speak French today, and they spoke French in the 12th century. But what they spoke around the birth of Christ wasn't French. French didn't exist at the time. We had the Celts in France, and we had the Romans in France, and we had Germanic tribes in France. None of them spoke what we would call French, or what the 1200 or the 12th century people in France would have been speaking. So this is the gap that we're looking at. So of course there are derivatives of Aramaic, but the language itself was dead.
Maybe on their I will nicely call it travels. We know it was not that. And they are very holy people, or they thought they were holy people, to place it politically correct. Maybe someone found something and thought it was cool to keep it in his own house.
Absolutely. I'm just telling you, this is not contemporary with the Knights Templar. Yeah.
So if we find anything more in this language, we would definitely contact you, and we can ask the owner in the end if when he has all the puzzle pieces that he thinks, if he's willing to share it also with you in the Sorbonne. Maybe it was just, I don't know, a touristy thing that his great grandfather brought home from wherever he found it. So we will see. But thank you for the translation and the hints and notes.
You're welcome.
And with that, Amelie would like grab Celeste, like, we should go. He's asking questions.
Yeah,
Not
Celeste
good.
Celeste follows you, and and when you're outside the building, she says, "Well, this was interesting, but I think we need to work on our cover story. Even when we're in Glozel, we don't want to give away why we're there. We need to come up with something ahead of time."
Our ancestor told stories from Glozel, and we are now just curious how it is there.
I think the problem is Glozel is so small that we would have to know one of those ancestors, and chances are his family still lives there.
We can take the dead.
Monsieur Junot was not from Glozel. He was there to study.
Yeah, but that might work. We heard stories from our grand uncle, is it then? Then we take. It was his sister, right? That
No,
was
his niece, Nicole.
his niece.
Yeah.
So we can that we stumbled over that part of the family history, and we were curious where he basically spent a lot of time and energy in, and that's why in between semesters we were just curious to have a snoop around if there's anything still left from that.
That works for me. It's just like, I mean, this is perfect. It's just that we need to know the story that we're going to tell. We all need to tell the same story, and I think that story works.
I think that story is better than throwing Mr. Dulac under the bus. He has no idea what we are doing, so
yeah.
I think, yeah. So let's go with. I need to make myself a nice overview with all the important names. Mr. Junot. Okay. Bonsoir. I'll forget that next game session again, so I'll write down at least a few names that I remember them. I don't know why his name is not sticking. It's not the first time we were talking about him here and there, but at least Dulac is stuck now in my brain. That's good.
That's good, yes.
And I think then all we can do is wait now, right? So I focus
Well,
on
you
studying.
need to study.
And when all the drama is done, we pack things and we make a trip to Glozel. But don't forget dinner.
Yes, well, when would suit you? And I will make sure that Ash is there.
I think they already agreed on a
Okay.
day and time-wise.
It will probably be the weekend.
The weekend or in the evening during the week would work. Oh no, I think weekend would be probably easier than for everybody. And it would be, oh god, French people take a long time to eat because they enjoy eating. I think it would be meet up probably around 6.
Yeah.
And then just starting into aperitif and chit chat. And more food and chit chat and more food and
we will see how the chit chat goes, because there's one person going to be there who's going to be totally mortified. He may not last.
We will see. The rest, the ladies in the room will all have a good time. That.
Okay, so do you want to play this?
Yes, I think it would be fun to
Okay,
give
so
this.
essentially you also need to study, so you agree on a date that kind of fits around your exams, because it can't be a Sunday just before you're going to sit a big exam.
Yeah.
And so the evening arrives.
It would be a Saturday,
yeah.
I'm quite sure, and I can study all day. And
it also works for Celeste to ensure that somebody covers for her at the store, because Saturdays is usually tournament night or tournament evening, and since there's also children there, they always need members of both sexes to attend in a capacity to chaperone. So she finds somebody to cover, so you basically plan it all, and 10 minutes to 6, ding dong.
I will run to the door. Nicolas probably setting up the table or helping in the kitchen, not
Does
sure.
he know who's going to attend, or does he just think it's Celeste?
He just thinks it's Celeste.
Okay. So do you let him? Does he open the door? Do you?
No, I will open the door.
Okay. So
I will open the door and have a peek. Be like, hello.
it's Celeste. This time she is wearing. She's not wearing a dress today. She's wearing trousers, and well, it's jeans and a jacket. And then there's Ash, who's also wearing jeans. Hers are black and a t-shirt because it's summer. And a vest, and she's brought a bottle, obviously, and Celeste has brought flowers for don't tell me, for
Granny. No, it's not
no,
Granny.
she's not your granny. You're not even Isabel.
Well,
You are not
age-wise,
related.
she could be.
Yeah, she could be, but even for Nicolas, she's his auntie. So, and she's brought flowers for Isabel. And she shows them to you and she says, I checked, these are non-poisonous for cats.
That is very wise, very wise. So I'll give both of them like the typical French thing, like kissy, and then leave them in. Nice if both of you could do it and make it. And I would just yell to Nicolas in the... I'm quite sure he's setting up the table. We need we need one more.
One more what?
Serving. We have one more guest. Could you add a plate?
Do you think he will step outside and check, or does he just basically
I
comply?
think now he would probably very curiously poke out the head. At the same time, I'm quite sure Isabel would poke out the head on the kitchen as well.
So
and
basically,
would be like, don't stand in the door, come in, come in.
there are also cats everywhere, I imagine. So basically, Isabel says, come in, come in.
I think the cats in the beginning will be more sitting a little bit far off, looking, because two people entered the room, at least one of them they've never seen before.
So we have to see. Do they have
snacks?
snacks?
We have to see who's the bravest to come closer.
So basically, Isabel says, come in, come in. Does Isabel know that Ash is there?
Yeah.
Okay, so Isabel is like, it's welcome, and she probably does the kissing thing as well.
Yes.
So we have little Nicolas. He's holding a plate that he was going to place, and his face is one of utter, I'm not seeing this. I can't believe that this is happening. So his mouth is hanging open.
I think he's frozen in shock.
He's frozen.
Holding on to the plate
Holding on to the plate, like in front of his chest.
Yes. Nico, well, Celeste, you know, Ash, Nico, could you, don't break the plate. And he will get really, like, a grin and a wink from Amelie. Come on.
Celeste goes to him and gets on her toes because he is very tall and she isn't, and kind of like does the kissing thing, and then Ash approaches and says, hello.
Celeste, could you maybe just take the plate and just, come on.
Celeste takes the plate, and then Ash says, hello, I'm Ash, and she sticks out her hand.
I think Amelie would like squeeze past Nicolas and will just tap him on the shoulder, would take his arm and shove it forward, behave, and would give him probably a small kiss and or clap, one of these things, and then she would set up the table then to finish it.
They shake. His shake is a little bit like a limp fish because he is not seeing this. This isn't happening. It's a dream. And then Ash is like, can I help? Is there something I can do?
I'm quite sure Isabel will stick her head out of the kitchen. I could use a hand in here, darling.
And she goes in, and then the first thing she says is, where do I wash my hands? Because obviously, if she's handling food, then this would be her first instinct.
Sink is there, and I think Isabel is quite like, you're part of the family now, you're a guest, come on. take this, carry it in, take this, carry it in, and let me chop this not to the end. And here, bottle opener, and I'm quite sure Isabel will by it very quickly at least give the girls all something to do. I'm quite sure Nicolas is still standing in the doorframe, watching. Standing there, not knowing if he wants to run and hide or just like, as you said, is what is happening here?
I think one of the cats may actually take pity on him and come closer and smooch him on the leg basically with the head.
I think by reaction he would probably
Pick it up.
pick the cat up and be like, emotional support cat. Like, I think either Isabel or Amelie would also stick from the kitchen or on the way between setting the table and kitchen, be like, then at least sit down if you're not helping. Come on. And like moving him into like plonking himself on a chair, I think, and be like, so okay, I'm not letting go of the cat.
Where are you going to place Ash at the table? Next to him? Or
I think
across from him?
opposite side.
Okay, yeah.
I will be evil. Opposite side.
Okay, so you're basically laying the table. You can hear Isabel talking to Ash and Ash replying. So Ash has no problem interacting with people she's just met because obviously it's what she does on a daily basis. And after a while, then Isabel says, all right, I could use a hand. Nicolas, would you help me with some of the dishes? And then she says, dear, you can go outside. Just take the 2 bottles. And then Ash comes in with 2 bottles and puts them on the table. And Nicolas basically inches past her because they have to go through the same door. And he basically stands to the side so that she goes in. And he's looking everywhere except at her.
And I'm quite sure by now, since one cat got closer, although it was mainly for Nicolas, I'm quite sure, I think latest Amelie's little bugger is the one like, yeah, he's like slowly coming nearer, just like looking up, or probably he knows Celeste already, so basically like moving against Celeste's leg and looking at a newcomer, like, does she have food, is probably the look at, like scanning, like, and sniffing, is there anything useful there?
Ash says, hello, I'm Ash, and who are you? And looks at the cat.
Well, that is Toulouse. He is the troublemaker of the bunch. I would probably get a look from the cat for that. And
who are you calling troublemaker? Meow.
He is in hope that everyone has snacks, which you luckily don't have because you are getting you're not getting more. You already had food.
He turns to you, and his looks tell him, food isn't snacks. Food is for sustenance so that I don't die. Snacks are for the soul.
And I'm not moving to get some, so he's probably turning around, showing me his back as usual, and trying his best with Celeste.
Yeah, Celeste, of course, has nothing either. And so then he does what cats do. He just basically moves away, sits with the back towards you, and just looks away. He's now grumpy.
Just ignore him. It will pass by.
And Celeste, basically, there's also, I would imagine, water on the table, not just wine. And she basically fills glasses with water, and then the 2, Isabel and Nicolas, come back with the dishes, and then basically you start, like you said, there's aperitif, then there is soup, there is salad, then there is main course, then there is this, then there is cheese, then there is the sweet stuff. It goes on for hours. Now,
I could imagine that we would have what at least I know from a typical French, at least lunch or dinner, that it's more that you have everything on the table and you just take what you fancy. So it's not like courses, so everything is just there.
Okay.
And you just pick from the middle of the table whatever you fancy while you chit chat and a little bit more, and you get a little bit more wine and a little bit more water, and that's how it goes on. And later on, you would get cheese and desserts out then.
So how is the chit chat going for poor Nicolas?
I think he will be very quiet in the beginning. I think Isabelle will just be chatty as always, and probably talking also to Celeste, just curiously how she's doing. Is everything's okay? And just really small talk. And will blankly, as if she had no idea, asking Ash on, and darling, how are you making your livings?
So basically, first of all, Celeste is chatting openly and without any problem to both of them, and you can see that she's really enjoying herself. Ash basically says, well, Madame, I am a musician. I make music. And I'm happy to say that I can make a living. Well, it is called, I'm just making up, punk rock. I suppose that's what we would classify this as punk rock.
That is a proper music category. And I think then Isabelle would be like looking over, Nico, that's your kind of music, isn't it? And I would probably kick him under the table as well, just like, come on. He would be like,
He will swallow and say, yes.
And I think Amelie would be like, you remember the CDs I brought? That was from... He knows her music. He kind of likes
really?
it.
You know her music? And you've got her CDs? And Ash says...
Redness going up in his face.
And Ash says, oh, and I actually signed the sleeves for him. And he's been to at least one of my concerts that I know of.
I think he would bring out like a stuttery, like thank you for signing the CDs.
Oh, anytime. And
then,
I also have something for you.
Frozen with a fork halfway to his mouth because he was like, okay, footage will save me.
And she basically opens her. She did bring a handbag, and it's like and she opens it, and she's got a wallet, and she pulls out 2 tickets. These are for our next concert here in Paris.
His eyes are this big, like.
And she hands them over, and she says, "Turn them over."
He will very preciously, carefully have them and carefully turn them over.
And it says access all areas on the back.
Let me roll if he drops the tickets.
Oh, poor guy.
Let's see. Well, that's a very good roll. I just rolled. Let's give him the stunt, even the stunt die. So he rolled an 11 and a 4 on a stunt die. I think he's doing okay. He knows the tickets are precious, so it's like he will just like thank you. Give me a minute. I will, and he will probably just slide out of his chair and just run upstairs because he wants to
deposit them safely. Yeah.
Yes. And I can imagine that Amelie is like, you know that I'm the second one coming with you, right?
And then it's not your music.
I don't care.
He comes down again.
Thank you. You made him well.
I have a feeling that I gave him the fright of his life.
No, he's like he I think it's a mix between dream and reality at the moment for him, and that's when he comes down.
What does he look like now? Is he red in the face, or is he smiling happily, or?
I think he's smiling happily. I don't think he's red. He's probably giving Amelie a small like brotherly death stare, and then will still be happy and smile. He will sit down, probably drink his glass of wine.
Steady the nerves.
I think then slowly we would just have talks between each other, and I think he will slowly warm up to the situation, and maybe use also Celeste as a good anchor point because he knows her already, and they got along very well as well. So he's just, I think in the beginning still, or is still trying to avoid a little bit to talk to Ash directly, but still is part of this, and is very, very slowly warming up to the presence of Ash sitting across him, and is, yeah, I think that is the day that's a big day in his life that he will never forget.
Ash herself is a really sociable person. She's very nice. She's very friendly. She's also, really kind of like well behaved. She uses the kind of like the madame and the vous, and basically so, and you can tell that she's actually enjoying herself as well. So this is a nice evening for her. She's enjoying the company. She's definitely also enjoying the food. And so basically, and Celeste, like I said, is for her, this is perfect. So how is it for you? Are you enjoying the evening?
Amelie is enjoying this. Next to the enjoyment of also seeing, I think she never had doubt that Ash would fit perfectly in, and because the initial impression was that Ash is an easygoing, really nice person, and with Isabel it was clear that there's no problem, because Isabel can be very personable and nice and chit chat with anyone she wants to be. And she loves that Nicolas had this surprise, that he had to suffer a little, but not, still it's a good thing happening, and she just enjoys it. I think she also enjoys that she has now an evening where she doesn't have to sit over the books and learn things and get things in her brain. I think it's quite nice for her to, like,
nice break from studying.
Yeah. And I'm quite sure we will sit together around the table for it will be a late evening, I'm quite sure. With a lot of wine.
And then after kind of like a late evening, the two take their leave. They call a taxi. They take a cab back home, because basically, well, between the two of them, they can easily afford it. And also it's, after such a long night, and, public transport may be running. I believe that the metro runs quite late as well, or you can get a night bus, but they're like, this is the little luxury. They did come by public transport when they arrived, but now going back, they're gonna take a little bit of luxury with them. So basically then, the evening for Celeste and Ash was a success. Does Nicolas say anything to you? Because now the two of you plus Isabel are alone. So will he actually call you out on the fact that you snuck in?
Yeah. I think he will play like the angry one, like, you don't surprise me like that, young lady. And then he will probably give me the biggest bear hug. With probably whisper like, this is amazing, and I'm not taking you, forget it.
Is he going to not take you?
No, I'm quite sure he wants to take one of his buddies with whom he was on one of the yeah. And he would probably like, her, you can get your own ticket.
Well, he's probably right. I guess if you were to ask, you would easily get an access all areas pass as well, but yeah.
I think Amelie would, I'm not sure, I think she would think about if she really, well, she enjoys Ash's company. The music is not hers, that's quite right. So I'm not sure if she would really go to the concert or not.
Yeah.
So it would probably be more a spontaneous thing and see.
Yeah.
I mean, Celeste wants to join or not, but I think, let him have it. And then two people go there that really enjoy the music.
Yeah. And so time passes, you sit your exams, and then it's July, and school's out for summer, as they say, and you're free for the summer.
Thank goodness.
And then it's time to go to Glozel. So the plan has been to take the train to Vichy, rent a car there so that you're more flexible getting around, because it is very rural and you don't want to be stuck somewhere and then there's no bus, or the bus is only once a day or something. And you take your car. So one initial thought that Amélie had was to drive to the hotel, but on the way go through Glozel to kind of get a feeling for the lay of the land.
That makes sense, because a train ride, it shouldn't be too long, I guess.
It's 2.5 hours by train from Paris to Vichy.
We would start probably in the morning, so we would be there, I think, late lunch. So between 1 and 2 maybe, because then we have enough time, because from Vichy it was like half an hour, right? It wasn't that far with the car, as far as I remember.
No, it's actually the train from Paris to Vichy.
That should be quick.
Yeah, I believe that they have... It's 3 hours.
Okay.
2:53.
Yeah.
But that's the cheapest. I don't know, there might be a... Yeah, but you can start as early as 6. So if you take a train at 9, you would be there at 11:57, and then you're in Vichy, and then basically...
Yeah, no, 3 hours is the quickest one. And
yeah. So
yeah, then grab a car, maybe get a quick lunch in Vichy. Probably when we arrive, have a short lunch in Vichy, and then with a car go first Glozel and then to the hotel. Yeah.
Okay, so basically you drive through Glozel. Or you first of all drive to Glozel. Do you even want to park and maybe just even walk around a little?
I think so, yes.
Okay, so Glozel is, like I said, your typical French rural country village. Like many of these villages, it does have a monument for the dead, for the fallen soldiers, and it's in a prominent space at the center of the village. And you can tell that Glozel, although it looks small, is actually not that small because of the outlying farmsteads. And in the first, and especially the First World War, it looks like almost the entire male population from 16 to 25 was wiped out. So there's a long list of names who didn't make it. Most of them fell at the Somme. And it looks, one could even imagine that maybe the whole village was wiped out in that one advance on that day. And then, of course, Second World War as well, but not as many. Maybe not as many people still lived there, or not as many men of basically the right age, because, you know, the older population wouldn't have gone to war. The town itself is, it looks very neat. So it's got, like I said, the old houses, like 19th century buildings, 2 stories, ground floor and first floor. And it is whitewashed, so it looks very tidy. So they would be winning Tidy Town awards. So there's flowers on the windowsills. So basically those window boxes. They have a little bit of a greenery in the middle of town, also where the monument is. So and there are flowers there. So it's lovely. And you can also tell that, of course, this is a tourist spot, because all of those finds from Glozel from the 1920s are on display. So they've got a little local history museum which tells the story of Glozel, which, of course, as you know, dates back to almost to the 12th century easily, where you have like French settlements, but then everything that happened in the prehistory of France, you have Romans, you have Celts, and of course you have those even older finds that were discovered in the 1920s by by François Junot, amongst others. So all of this is on display. The museum today is actually closed. So because you're
Okay.
arriving on a Monday and it's never open on a Monday, it opens Tuesday to Sundays. So you can come back any day after that and go in. And basically it's like €3 to get in, and you have to buy a catalog. So that's another €2. So that's how they make their money.
I think that would be our first plan. At least Amelie would buy. I think tomorrow we should spend
Absolutely,
most time
yes.
here studying everything we can find. Maybe something even sticks out.
Since it is summer holidays, there are plenty of children around. So this is a thriving village. It's by no means dead. You have people of all ages, lots of children as well. And there's also a market today. So Monday seems to be market day. And you have people from all around selling stuff. There is cheesemongers, there is wine sellers, there is local produce like potatoes and whatnot. And there's also and of course you've got the local butcher, but you've also got kind of like a traveling in butcher. And there are plenty of people because today is market day, so lots of people come to Glozel to go shopping. And you see a lot of cars as well parked, and there's a parking, kind of like a parking lot a little bit outside, like you find them in English villages as well, where you basically park at the edge and then you walk in. And you see lots of people definitely who seem to be coming from Lyon and Vichy. So Lyon and Vichy are both, Vichy is closer, but Lyon is also kind of there. So it seems like lots of people also come here from a little bit further afield to do shopping. Do you want to do anything? Do you want to talk to people? Do you want to mingle, or do you just want to take a look?
I think we would, at least Amelie would have the idea just to stroll through the market, just have a peek. Not sure. I can imagine that we booked dinner including
Le Clos de Bourgogne.
Yeah, I think dinner
Bourgogne.
would be included, so it would be rude to shop with your own food. If there's...
Having said this, you did book a family room, so it is possible to do some, so there will be a fridge.
Okay.
Yeah.
There may be like buy 1 or 2 nice foodage things for tomorrow during the daytime.
Baguette?
Baguette we will get tomorrow fresh. Doesn't make sense to buy it now because the bakery is tomorrow open as well. It's
yes,
Tuesday.
there's a bakery, of course, and
but maybe like if there's a nice cheese or so. Or Amelie, first of all, would ask. I guess the market is only open today. It will not be open every day.
Well, actually, they have 2 market days, Mondays and Fridays.
Okay, no, then we would like if we see a nice cheese or a nice like the French. Is it called salami also in
Saucisson.
English? So basically, yeah, kind of sausage. I think something like that because the cheese, yes, you need to cool the sausage, and you don't have to cool even.
So basically, as you look around, you notice a couple of things. First,
a bottle of wine.
Yeah, no problem at all. So basically, what you see is there is not only the market, but there was the butcher that I showed you, but there's also a boulangerie that's always there, and there's also a little bit of a épicerie, so kind of like a small supermarket with the staples like milk and cheese and that kind of thing, sausage. So that kind of thing. The tinned fish and everything that you would find there. And you also pass by the pub, which is kind of a pub, but it's kind of like not like one of those sometimes dark and dingy English pubs, but it's got huge windows and awnings in front, and there are little tables outside. And this is France, so basically they sell coffee, of course. They sell sweet stuff as well. You can also get soup. and sandwiches and salad, but that's all the cooking that they do. There is no kind of like real food. You can't get your
Okay.
Sunday roast and stuff, so it's more like snackage and stuff. But yeah, it's like soup of the day. Today is basically it's some kind of pork soup with white beans and very rural, and then there is kind of like cabbage in there. So it's healthy staple food, but also quite heavy. So you really want to be hungry to eat this. Okay, so and the weather is good, but it's also hot. This is landlocked France, and it's very warm because it's in the south.
Then I think we would maybe make a tiny stop just to have a coffee.
Yeah.
But at least Amelie has the feeling that before you ask question, prepare. So first have a look at the museum and all the findings and everything, because then we can start having snoopy questions
Okay, super question.
on places or things or happenings. So I think for today Amelie would be like, also I think with the train ride and so you usually feel it a little bit. So just going, checking in today, enjoying a relaxed evening.
Yeah. So you pick up the car, you drive to the hotel. It's a little bit tricky to find because it's really like in the middle of nowhere, so it's kind of like a couple of windy roads. You arrive. It is a mansion that's been converted into a hotel. It's family run, so basically there is a reception, but it's really just in the entrance hall, a big table, and there is this little bell thingy where you basically press down and then it gives this ding sound. And but in this case you actually don't have to do it because somebody is in the hall doing stuff, and they look up and they're like, oh, you must be our new guests, Mademoiselle Durand, Mademoiselle Dubois.
Yes,
Do step inside.
thank you.
I'm sorry, this is a small family-run business. We don't have a bellhop.
No worries. We can carry our own stuff. We just wanted to check in.
So if you would sign here, and she hands you the documents that you have to sign, basically,
Yeah.
and then she gives you a key, and it's like a real key. It's not a key card. It's one of those old-fashioned keys with like the beard. And she says, "Well, it's on the second floor." And it's like one of those wide staircases, and it's made of stone, and you walk up. She basically shows you, and she says, "Oh, and I'm the lady of the house. My name is Marie." So if there's anything that you need, there's a phone which you can also use to dial out, but basically, unfortunately, you would have to pay for that.
No problem.
We also have a Wi-Fi, so the Wi-Fi password is on the bedside table. And if you need anything, you can just pick up the receiver and ring and dial 0, and that will get you downstairs to the local intercom.
When we basically put our stuff, we would just roam the place and have a look around, if that's okay.
Of course, I was just going to tell you. So basically, if you go downstairs where you first came in and go to the right, that is the breakfast and dinner room. So basically, that's where all of the meals are had. And if you then go through the French doors in that room, you get out into the courtyard, and behind that is the garden. That's also where the pool is. And of course, everything is at your disposal. There is also a games room adjacent to the dining room where we have games, where we have books. And you please feel free to read the books, to play the games, and enjoy yourselves. And if there's anything at all that you need, just let us know.
Thank you very much. I think the main idea is then to enjoy the weather, sit outside. Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much. And I think then we would just have a snoop through the room, decide who gets which bed, and just unpack a little, maybe refreshen.
So basically, the room it's a family room, so it's quite spacious. There are 3 beds. There's also a bathroom, obviously, with a shower, toilet, everything. And it's Like I said, there's a phone, there's a desk, and there is also a little fridge, which is empty, so it's not a mini bar. And what was I going to say? There's something else in the room. I forget. It'll come to me. Oh yes, there's a water cooker. So you've got like a
Okay.
kettle.
Yeah.
There are also some sachets of kind of like
Instant coffee and tea,
instant
probably.
coffee and tea. Yeah.
I think that's a good place to start. Should we just sit outside, enjoy the sun a little?
Absolutely. She smiles.
And then I think
Make
we
a
would
plan
just...
for tomorrow.
Yes, although, do we have a big plan? I think the plan is to have a look at the museum and then see where we have to
Okay.
go next.
She does take a map of the local area with her.
Yeah. And because I think we would have had a look from back home on like Google, on maps, like how Glozel is, what they have around.
Well, what you have found is that to the southwest, there is something that's called ancient ruins. So basically, there's some kind of medieval
So that would
castle.
maybe plan B
Was
after
there.
the museum to maybe see that we can get down there.
Yeah.
I think we would have made sure to get a car that is a little bit off-roady possible. So not like a small city car, like a bigger car that can handle at least like sandy roads without destroying it. And I think we would snoop through the car, just again refreshing on how the area layout is. And I think in my head it would be the first evening would just be relaxed sitting outside as long as possible, enjoying food and drinks and peaceful time.
It is warm, and it is a nice evening. So basically, at some point, you can roll a d6 for me.
Because I'm curious if we are the only guests. A 6.
Okay, good. So there are some midges flying around, but at some point Marie comes and she places little, it looks like, I guess, lanterns, and she places them around the sitting area, but you can smell something. So basically, it's this insect repellent. There are other guests.
Okay.
And they also come outside. They see you, they greet you, and they say, "Is it all right if we join you?"
Yes, please join us. I think Amelie would also make sure to have like this chit-chatty conversation from where they are and why they're here. And Amelie would only let clearly that we're from Paris. That's generic enough, that we are students and that we have a little snoop following the steps of one of our ancestors.
So basically, it's a couple and a family. So it's two groups. The couple is slightly elderly. They are from Strasbourg. And they always come here, and they've been coming here for a very long time. So they're in their 70s. So this is their summer getaway. And the family is from Paris as well, actually. And this is one of the things that they do for the summer holidays. 2 weeks. They always come here because they say it's nice for the kids because they can be outside, and it's a huge area. You can see that the garden is huge, and you also saw it when you looked at aerial pictures of the area on Google Maps. But it's completely enclosed. That's what Le Clos means. It's like you said, it's completely enclosed in stone walls. So the kids can't actually escape, as it were, so they can roam freely. There's a piscine, so the children love the pool. They're taken care of. Family rooms, as you see, are spacious and nice. And it's I wouldn't say it's kind of yes, it used to be a mansion, but now it's really like a place where people live. So this family lives there and they decided to open it up to the public and
Yeah.
make some money out of it. So it's not like as you would say, Ete hotel.
And no, it's more like
It's a family place,
it's
really.
it's it's
Yeah,
it's lived in.
it's lived in.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
and you can bring animals. So they actually have a dog. So
Okay.
it's animal friendly. And yeah, and they just say that, yeah, they've been doing this ever since the kids were small because it's easy and the kids love it here. And it's for 2 weeks in summer and to get away from Paris, to get away from the city. And yeah. And they will also tell you that sometimes they take hikes in the vineyards south of Glozel. And there are also wine tours that you can take. So some of the vintners basically do tours where you can do some tasting and stuff. And they say that they also kind of like every year they go home with a couple of bottles for the winter, which they lay down.
That sounds definitely interesting. I think Amelie would, in between when Marie is around, oh God,
Yeah.
just really openly ask about the Glozel ruins, if she knows that you can go there without troubles, or if it's closed up.
Well, I mean, no, they're not closed up. I mean, it's not possible to climb the tower simply because you could fall down because it's not maintained. It's really just the ruins. But you can get there. It's no problem at
Okay,
all.
awesome.
But don't expect too much. It just gives you a plaque that says when they were built, but there is no exhibition there. But it's well worth a visit. But it is kind of like a little bit of a climb because it is on a steep, like it's not a mountain, it's just a hill, but it's actually quite steep.
Okay, so you drive a part and the rest you have to go by foot.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I think on the map we would make sure that she shows us like where can we go with the car to park it, and then the rest to do by foot. And yeah, the rest of the evening will be good food, because I suspect the food is good. And
So basically, it's home cooking. It's
yeah,
French food. It's today is roll a d6 for me, please.
4.
It's fish.
Okay, awesome.
But it's freshwater fish, so possibly even caught locally. And so it's trout, and it's stuffed trout with carrots and potatoes. And of course, there's a soup. There's soup first, and then there's also cheese. Yeah, and it's home cooked. It's what Isabel would make. Yeah, or what you would make because you can cook and Celeste can cook, so it's
Can
good
do
food.
as well.
Yeah, yeah. But she will also let you know that all the wines that she offers are all sourced locally in Glozel.
Okay.
So, and she also tries to get all of the stuff, all of the ingredients locally. So that's what she's priding herself on. Yeah.
That sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think at least Amelie would be like, so the plan for tomorrow, breakfast here, then start to go to Glozel, having a look at the exhibition, reading up on anything that we can find.
Yeah.
Then maybe probably a lunch break, or at least getting, depending on the time, at least getting a baguette and a little bit of food, drink, like a picnic, and
In
then
Glozel. To
in
shop there.
Glozel to stock up, and then to do the picnic outside Glozel at the ruins, basically.
Yeah.
In hope that the weather is okay. So clearly also checking the weather app if the weather is at least dry.
The weather is dry.
Good.
It's actually going to be a dry spell, and it's going to be very warm. So we're talking high 20s, low 30s.
So we would have packed proper clothing for that.
Shorts.
Sunscreen, shorts,
Sunscreen,
a hat.
Yeah.
Especially
Sunglasses.
for outside. Sunglasses. And also boots, or at least stable shoes for climbing and walking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Out in the field, clearly. So, yeah.
Yeah. So you basically then go to bed. Please roll 3d6s for me and make a communication check.
I rolled at the evening. I already started with Tuesday. Oh no.
Well,
Communication. Let's see. Oh god. Well, it's a double 3. Not on the stunt die, sadly. 6, 10, 12 on communication.
14, 16. You get a really tingly feeling and you wake up.
Okay.
And
is it still dark outside?
It's still dark. And you notice that Celeste's woken up as well. And she's sitting up in her bed. Do you say anything? Because you are aware that she's awake, but you're not sure if she knows that you're awake.
I think Amelie would just blankly turn on the light and be like, what the heck was that?
Celeste looks at you and she says, you're awake. Did you feel it too?
Felt something.
Yes, that would be Kana. You had a tingly feeling, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be Kana. There is Kana here. Why is there Kana here?
Amelie would have a look around. Probably getting out of bed and just like going through the room.
Make a searching roll.
An eye open to see if there's anything that does not belong here. Searching.
So that's a +5 to whatever you roll.
A +5.
Yeah, because you have 3 in perception and searching, so that's a specialization.
Yeah.
So it's 5. Yeah.
Okay. I was like 5 on top of my 5. I was like, oh, that would be no. That is a 10, 15.
Okay. Did you close the window last night? You are not sure, but now it's open.
We definitely left the window open because it's warm. You leave the window open and overnight.
And you look at the windowsill. Is that a handprint?
I would run back to my table, grab my mobile phone, take a picture.
Okay.
If I can still see it and be like, am I making this up? Motion to Celeste to like, come here and look.
That's a handprint. That doesn't explain the Kana because that's a hand. It doesn't look in any way magical. It looks quite physical.
The handprint, the print itself, does it look like dirt or coal or?
It looks like someone. Yeah, it looks as if somebody had very oily hands and basically put them there. So, and there's like, I mean, they don't dust the outside of the windowsills. I mean, who does? And there's basically, it's been dry. There is sand or whatever has blown there. So basically somebody put an oily handprint on that and then it's basically been pressed into the dirt that's simply on the windowsill.
We're on the 2nd floor. How the heck did someone get up here? I will stick my head outside and have a peek like left or right if I see any movement outside or hear any movement.
Oh, if you want to hear, then it's perception.
I think it would be perception in this game because it's dark outside, so it would be more perception, I suspect. That is 9 on the die plus 3, so 12.
Not that you can see or hear anything, but what you do notice is the absence of any way somebody could have climbed this. So there is no trellises for plants, for example, that somebody could have climbed up. There is no no piping, kind of like from the roof that somebody could have maybe climbed up the water spout or anything. They would have had to climb up a sheer perpendicular wall. And it's whitewashed, so it's not one of the ones where you can basically put your fingers between kind of like the mortar pieces of bricks, but it's plastered. So
tomorrow morning when light is up, I want to check downstairs if there are any marks of someone putting a ladder there or something
your
insane
room,
like that.
like it seems like all the 6 rooms that are for guests all are facing the garden. So none of them are facing the front.
So someone would have need to enter the grounds basically before being able to get
Okay.
Do you still
Celeste,
feel something, or is it gone?
you still feel a tingly feeling, yes.
Is it
But you're
just
not sure if this is
generally?
now.
Is it like if you walk to the window, does it get stronger, or is it just around? Celeste, Amelie has no idea how this works. It's the first time she feels this.
No, it's
really.
not the first time.
Oh, second time. The first time we are ignoring. It never happened.
Okay, it's one of the ones that never happened, I see. You're not now at this stage, you're not sure if this isn't just being nervous now, because it seems like somebody may have been in the room with you that shouldn't have been there. So it's more like now the hairs at the back of your neck are standing up. So that's this kind of tingly feeling now. So it's slightly different from the feeling that woke you up.
I think Amelie would now close the window properly.
Yeah. Celeste gets up or walks towards the door and just checks. Did you lock it?
Yeah.
Okay, it's still locked. Okay. Yeah.
Looking at the...
Did you leave the... just out of curiosity, did you leave the key in the lock?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we'll leave it from the inside, just
The
like
key is
because
on the
then you
floor.
know where it is. The key's on the floor.
In front of the door, so like somebody might have tried to push it through.
But didn't. He couldn't pull it through under the door, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, so we should put the key maybe on the table and not in the door.
Yeah. She takes it and puts it onto the coffee table in the middle of the room. Nowhere near a window, nowhere near a door.
Amelie will... I'm quite sure there's at least a chair, or maybe probably 2 chairs and a small table somewhere. So she would grab it.
Yes, there is a desk even.
She would... If there's a small table, maybe even a bedside table, that can be moved, she would move it towards the door. And then she would pile up books and things. I think at least Amelie would have 1 or 2 books with her and
that the handle
on
can't be
our
moved?
topic. Yeah, so the handle can be moved.
Okay, you can do this, no problem. Yeah, you succeed.
Just in case. Looking at the clock, how late or early?
It's 15 minutes past 2 in the morning. Still have 5 hours to go, or even 6 if you get up at 8:15.
Should we try to get a little bit more sleep?
Yeah.
Then we would plonk ourselves in bed again. Amelie would hesitantly turn off the light.
Yeah.
And probably stare for a very long time at the ceiling, trying to find sleep.
It's a tall room, so yes, you can see the ceiling because it's whitewashed. Nothing moves.
Okay.
It's very
As I said,
quiet.
I think it would just take a while until Amelie can fall asleep again. I think
Yeah.
after this, adrenaline would be like it slowly needs to. And then, best case, Amelie falls asleep again.
Well, if you so choose, or if you, unless you really try to wake, to stay
No,
awake, you would fall asleep, yes.
no, she would not try to stay awake.
When do you set your alarm for?
I think, like, latest 8 o'clock, I would suppose. Something between 7 and 8.
So let's say 7:45, the alarm goes off. Is it one of those terrible ones, or does it have a nice noise?
No, it would be the phone ringing.
Okay,
I
yeah.
think so. So it's a good noise. I think we both would have it. So on both sides, they would probably go off kind of similar at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, oh God, good morning.
Good morning. That was some night. She looks up, and basically you can see that she looks at the window, and then she looks at the door.
Yeah, Amelie
Both are
would
still
do the
closed.
same.
Yeah, and it's like, it looks like nobody tried to come in again, or if they did, we didn't hear it.
Well, then we definitely, before we leave today, have a peek outside the window, see if from downstairs
Absolutely.
someone came in, and maybe carefully asking Marie if they had anyone leaving the door open.
Do you want to go to the bathroom first, or me?
You go first, and I think Amelie now would open the window, like let in fresh air, and she would pull away the table with the books.
Yeah. So basically, after about 20 minutes, Celeste steps outside again, ready to go, freshly scrubbed. And then she says, "Okay, so I'll just wait here, and then we're good to go downstairs and have breakfast."
So Amelie gets ready as well. I think before breakfast, Amelie would be curious to have a peek out in the garden, just below our window, to see if she can find anything that
Make
looks
a search
like
roll, please.
a print, or I don't know, like ladder would be the logical explanation.
You don't find that. Even without rolling, there is no ladder.
Okay. So you said searching. That is a good and a bad roll. So the normal dice is a 10, the stunt die is a 1. 11 plus 5 is a 16, which is generally a good roll.
But do you have 2 5s?
No, 4 and a
No,
6.
okay, so it's 16.
Yeah.
16, did you say? Oh, that's a very good roll, actually. You look, and it's a bit difficult to be sure because there is a lot of pebbles. So it's not, unfortunately, this is not like a flower garden where you could see somebody standing or climbing into the, in the dirt, that kind of thing. But it does look like the ground's been disturbed recently. So
Okay.
maybe somebody was standing there, and maybe, like, you know how it is when you're standing there and you're looking up, you don't stand still, but you're kind of moving. So it looks like right underneath your window, it looks like the ground's been disturbed.
Looking up the wall, any marks, anything we can just peek and see?
Funnily enough, no. Celeste, suddenly as you're standing there, you feel 2 hands on your shoulders, and then Celeste's voice right next to your ear. Maybe it was the amazing Spider-Man climbing up the wall.
I highly doubt that.
Come
Maybe
on, that
more.
was funny.
Maybe. Who knows that we are here?
Eric?
I don't think we have to worry about that.
No, I don't think Eric would try to climb the wall.
And I don't know, the other guests.
Do you think?
No, I don't.
I mean, seriously, the elderly couple, they're in their 70s. Neither of them look like they would be able to climb this wall. I mean,
Yeah, and the
heck, I
family
wouldn't
with
be
the
able to
kids?
climb this wall.
Me neither.
I mean, you're on the second floor, even for the kids, and the handprint wasn't the handprint of a kid. It was a handprint of a grown person. So,
Yeah.
I mean, looking at the wall, you do think that someone who climbs this needs to be very good at what they're doing because it doesn't lend itself to climbing. So unless they had gear, of which there is no trace, thinking of somebody who has kind of like sucky cups on their hands and feet seems to be the logical explanation.
But then they wouldn't have left a print as we found, because then you would have the sucky
No,
cup
I'm
print.
no, I'm just saying maybe there is people with spider hands.
No, family, that is it's a nice story, but that is out of discussion for. But she thinks more about like magical people that can just like levitate. I think that's more her idea of
Celeste, being the otaku girl, of course, is now telling you all about Peter Parker and the different versions of him, and Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2, and the different Spider-Verses, and
I think
basically...
Amelie would be like, maybe it's more something like Doctor Strange, you know? A magician.
Okay, yes, I can buy that. But then why didn't he come inside?
Well, maybe he was.
And then do what? He was just standing there.
Maybe he got scared because we woke up.
Okay, I'm telling you one thing. I don't think that Doctor Strange is afraid of the two of us if he met us.
It's just someone like... Amelie will just like, come on, let's get breakfast.
You have breakfast. It's French petit déjeuner. However much you want from it. Basically, Celeste eats like 3 croissants and drinks plenty of coffee. I know that you don't drink or eat a lot for breakfast, but she does.
Yeah,
And
I would have 1 croissant, but a lot of coffee after this night. A lot of coffee for sure.
It's fresh croissant. And there is also, of course, jam and butter, and it's all wonderful. And if you really want to, you could also have scrambled eggs and bacon, and it's perfect. And it tastes lovely.
I think before we leave, Amelie would have a peek if she can grab Marie.
You can, because she's actually in the breakfast room.
Okay. Not too loudly, because she doesn't want to disturb the other guests that will be there for breakfast probably as well. I'm just curious, are the doors locked overnight that no one can get inside the gardens?
Yes, we close the gate and lock it. And then, of course, the house itself is locked up. So basically, this door, and she points to the double doors that lead from the dining room into the garden, are locked. And of course, the front gate is locked, and the front door is locked as well. Mind you, if you wanted to, you could of course break a window.
Yeah, it's more getting in the garden at night.
Well, I mean, it's a large garden, very, very big. So if you wanted to, you could go basically around to the back of the estate, literally, and climb the garden wall. And I mean, you have seen the walls at the front where the gate is, and basically they are made of dry stone. So this is climbable. They're maybe 2 meters high, but if you wanted to, you could climb them, and you could easily climb them. So basically, you don't even need to be very sporty. You can just climb them.
Okay.
Why?
We just got woken up during the night and had the feeling that someone was at our window, which clearly cannot happen because we're on the second floor.
I was just going to say, I mean, I would understand if you said that you saw somebody in the garden, which hasn't happened so nobody has told me about it, but that would be something that is within the realm of possibility if somebody were to climb the wall. But then again, your window is on the second floor and there is no trellis or anything.
Oh, someone definitely stood beneath our windows.
What?
Based on, well, you can, everything is so pristine and clean here, nevertheless, and stones, the Kieselsteine in German,
Pebbles.
Pebbles, thank you. They were quite disturbed this morning.
She says, will you be all right for a moment with the breakfast, because I really want to take a look.
Yes, sure.
Because at the moment you're the only ones. You can see that there is more plates, but probably the others don't come in until maybe 9 or so.
Okay.
So she basically says, all right, so coffee's over there, you know, orange juice, everything, help yourselves. I'm just gonna. And she leaves through the window, through the big doors, and basically you can see her walk round to the left, to the part where your window would be, which you can't see from where you are. So she's now vanished. And then after about 10 minutes or so, she comes back and she says, to be honest, I think you're right. It looks like somebody was standing underneath your window. I'm not saying it was last night, but it does look like it. And I don't see why anybody would be standing so close, because on the ground floor at that place, there is no window. So you wouldn't be standing there maybe to look inside or talk to somebody who's on the inside and then, you know, like talk through an open window. There wouldn't be a reason to be standing there. And you can you can see that she looks very concerned. I'm wondering if I should call the police.
Well, we have nothing more than that, so maybe just we will see what happens. Hopefully nothing.
Maybe well, I mean, best case, this is trespassing. Yeah. This is private property. Nobody is should be there. I mean, I can ask the other guests. Maybe some of the kids were standing there during the day, or I don't know. Maybe somebody was. You know how kids are. They could be standing there, maybe playing ball or something. But
yeah, I don't think we should bother the other guests. To be honest, we were just curious.
Well, if you're sure.
Yes, we will just see and hope that tonight is then calm.
I do hope that this isn't a regular occurrence from here on out, that people are just appearing at night in our garden.
And I hope not. As I said, we were just curious, but
she has to do a communication check. Okay, so that's 14 plus 4 on the stunt die. She does look at you skeptically. You were expecting something like this?
No, we were definitely not.
You don't look as surprised as I would expect somebody to look, though.
I'm more scared of how they got to our window and nobody noticing, because they would have.
But I mean, how do you know that they were at your window? Below your window, I'm with you, but at your window, that's on the second floor.
As I said, that's why we woke up.
So you saw someone at your window?
I think so.
What did they look like?
It was pitch black outside.
All right, now we have a completely different situation. This is not somebody just standing about on the castle or mansion grounds, which is one thing.
Have a ladder stored somewhere outside. They could have.
No, not outside. We've got one in the shed, but that's locked.
Okay.
Do you want? I mean, okay. Just give me a second. And she walks outside into the foyer, and you hear her rummaging, and then she basically unlocks the front door, opens them. You can hear it because it's a little bit of a thing. You know, it's not screeching, but you can hear the doors opening, and then you hear footsteps because there's like two steps that she needs to take down. But the door is then again, of course, closing as well. And then after about 15 minutes, she comes back and she says, well, I've just been to the shed, and she holds up a big key, and it was locked, as I expected, and the ladder is in the same position that it was in when I was there last. And I'm honest with you, I don't regularly dust the shed, and the ladder hasn't been moved in a good while, and it's completely dusty. Nobody's taken it recently.
Maybe we just, I don't know. It was a little bad. Oh, I honestly don't know. We just saw something. Let's just see. Let's hope that was just a weird incident and nothing will come.
Well, hopefully, but if there is anything else, or if somebody else shows up at your door, at your window at night, please ring 0, and then my husband will go outside and investigate what's going on.
Okay. It was in the middle of the night, so.
Yeah, but I mean that's when bad things happen.
That is true. As I thank you for checking all of that, and let's just see and hope tonight is fine. And thank you for the lovely breakfast.
She smiles. I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I will tell my husband about this so that he knows, because this is serious. And even if somebody just trespassed and just basically climbed the walls and basically walked around the grounds at night, that's also not okay, because this is private property. Yeah.
And Amelie is like, that's why you have security cameras, but she will not say anything. But when we basically go upstairs to get ready to collect the last things we need for our trip, Amelie would be like, do you have any? No. Amelie's like, how long would my phone be able to record something? Actually, I think...
Well, what I can do is I can set up my equipment.
That would be the question for tonight. Not I think during daytime we will be fine, because honestly, if during daytime, feel free.
I didn't bring my ghost hunting equipment because I didn't think we would need it, but what I did bring was my camera, and it trips, it's motion censored. And it's got a infrared tracker kind of thing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
if whoever was there is visible on infrared, it'll show.
I would be curious to have the camera on the window tonight. And we just blocked the door the same we did then afterwards with the table and the books. And then just see if anything shows up.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I will also make sure that it triggers my phone. We will wake up even if we don't hear anything or feel anything.
Sounds good. That sounds
all right.
good.
So she's like,
then,
and she looks at the
history
kind of
session.
It's one of those aluminum cases, which you were like even probably thinking, why is she bringing this? Because this girl has packed. She's got like 3 suitcases.
Amelie just has a big backpack, basically.
This girl has suitcases.
Although I'm curious if Amelie would have a camera as well with her. No, I think she would take all the pictures with her phone.
And Celeste is like, this is not safe.
But it works.
Well, if you know, Google is listening and everybody else is listening. It doesn't matter what you do. Everyone's listening on your phone.
Well, then they know I found a handprint on my windowsill at 2 a.m. in the morning.
If the MI5 and its French counterparts show up here tonight, we know why.
They don't care about us.
And she basically shows you her tongue.
What could be worse than the guys that wanted to kill us? No one.
That's true. That is absolutely true. And I can tell you one thing, for nothing, those guys cannot read your phone.
See? So let's see
Let's
what
go.
history tells us.
And she throws you the key. You drive.
Yep. So we get in the car, we drive to Glozel, get a nice parking spot, and then enter, hopefully, the open exhibition, and bit by bit read through everything we can find there. And
Well, first of all, the exhibition is a real exhibition. So you see pieces, and you see this. Hopefully this comes out.
yes.
Those are the infamous, famous Glozel tablets, the ones that everybody is so basically debating about if they are real, and those are the ones that have not been translated. Michel Junot said that he had translated them. This is the thing that you read in his diary, saying, now I know, and I can prove, and I know what it says, and I just need to confirm one more thing in Paris, and then I'm gonna do the big reveal. And then he died at the Gare de l'Est. So those are the Glozel tablets. Of course, this being Glozel, they don't even talk about that this is controversial. They say that these are old, ancient tablets from pre-Christian times. The language is unknown. They have not been translated. But of course, they are genuine. Mind you, these are copies because the originals are kept in a safe.
Okay.
But they are facsimile, so they look like the originals look. And they have also, if you like, rubbings would be wrong, but the actual text has been transcribed onto paper, and this is actually visible. So there are now posters with the text, which is glyphs, and it's unclear. I mean, again, you look at it and it's like, is this even an alphabet, or is it like a syllabic script? Is it a script at all? Is it just scribbles? Is it maybe ideograms like in Chinese, for example? It looks very complex, but you would say it doesn't look like the scribbles of a mad person. So there is structure there.
But it doesn't, well, obviously no one so far translated them, so they don't have any resemblance to any
Michel Junot
language.
says he was able to, but we never know what
we don't know. But generally everyone else was not able to, so it's not like, this looks a little bit like this language also, so it's really...
Can you do me a favor, and can you roll for... No, this is the wrong one. We want this. Can you do me a favor and roll on occultism intelligence, please?
Double 5, not on a stunt die, but hey.
What's on the stunt die?
And a 3, so I have 13 plus 5, 18.
Okay. Well. You look at this, and you something strikes a nerve. You think you've seen something like this, not like this in terms of exactly this, but it does remind you of something that you have seen before, which is a manuscript. It's called manuscript, which also has never been deciphered and which has been stumping scientists of all professions for a long, long time. And it's the so-called Voynich manuscript. Out of game, do you know anything about it, or do you want me to explain?
Never heard of that before.
So, the Voynich manuscript is an illustrated codex handwritten in an unknown script referred to as Voynichese. The vellum on which it is written has been carbon dated to the early 15th century, 1404 to 1438. Stylistic analysis has indicated the manuscript may have been composed in Italy during the Italian Renaissance. It's got around 240 pages. It is, it may have had more, and it was written on original vellum, so it wasn't a palimpsest, so where somebody had maybe taken vellum and scraped off whatever was on there and then rewritten on it, which is quite often the case because vellum is so expensive. It is also colorful. It contains not only writing but also pictures, and it also contains pictures that are kind of like, you know, there's a little bit of a dragon detail, then there are things that look like plants. The problem is that no one knows who wrote it. The first person to have been confirmed as an owner was Georg Baresch, a 17th century alchemist from Prague. So in the 1600s, this is the first time that somebody we know has owned it. And it is attributed to different people, and different translations, or well, not really translations, because nobody actually knows what it says, have been put forward. And some people say that the fact that no one has been able to even remotely decipher what it is and what it says, think that it may have been a medieval hoax. That sometime in the medieval, somebody who's really rich, because you have to pay for the vellum, you have to pay for the colored ink, sat down and just basically wrote nonsense for 170,000 words. Which, you know, some people are cray-cray, so maybe this is the case, but more likely people think that it is some kind of code. And people have simply not been able to read it yet. Yeah.
I think Amelie A would share it with Celeste and pull out her phone, and she would also just blankly Google, also to see if Mr. Junot and that manuscript, if there anything pops up that is known.
Ooh, that's an interesting idea. So basically, I've put a link to the Wikipedia entry in there.
I wrote it correctly, yes.
Oh, wow.
I was like, how do you write that name?
Perfect. So, interestingly enough, Junot never mentions the Voynich manuscript in his diary. So basically, he never referred to it. But that, of course, doesn't mean that maybe he just didn't want to commit it to writing.
So since... Okay, so we can, at least the manuscript, as far as I read, it's online in the digital library, the Yale. So it's far away in the States. Okay, but you can get it online. Okay.
Let me see where it would have been in the beginning of the 20th century, if they say where it was at the time.
Voynich found it. He acquired the manuscript 1912.
And he was where?
Poland.
Okay.
He was Polish. It doesn't say where he got it, but he is Polish because he's the one that basically it's named after.
Okay, but I would say it was probably not in the United States at the time, because since 1969 it has been in Yale.
Oh, Lithuania, born. Oh no, he died in New York City.
Okay, at when? Do we know when?
1930.
Oh, so he probably... Okay, but in 1914 it says here that he opened another bookshop in New York, so he probably brought it with him.
Probably. I'm just seeing. Lithuania, Polish, Harish. Studied. Warsaw.
As you study him, you actually notice that...
1890, he escaped from Siberia, traveling west, and got to Hamburg.
And you also...
Eventually arriving in London, he saw the world.
And also, you notice as you're reading this that he is a little bit like you. Because what strikes you is he was remarkably lucky in finding rare books.
Yeah, I can see, honestly, he has...
Like you are lucky in finding rare things. He was lucky in finding rare books. Maybe he was Jaina.
He opened a bookshop in Soho and he was smuggling rare books, including the Mallarmé Bible in Italy.
Celeste says maybe we should ask the Aition about him.
1912. 1914, he went to New York City.
I would assume he took the book with him.
Yeah, he must have found it in, probably, I guess, date-wise, he was in London when he found or got the book.
Mm-hmm. Then I would say the following, that actually this being the beginning of the 20th century, during the First World War, Junot would not have had access to it.
No, that's... So, most famous was the manuscript at the villa in Italy. He was all around Europe, wherever he got it.
Mm-hmm.
The feds also were on him.
Yeah.
Because he had the Bacon cipher.
Mm-hmm.
He was an interesting man.
I would say he was... She looks at you and she says, I would say he was Jaina.
Maybe.
And probably Aition. And the fact that he always found weird things is probably because they found him. And then she looks at you. He's like you, Amelie. He is like you.
I'm not sure, but he got it in Italy, 1912, in the Villa Mandrogane. He got the manuscript. But he presented it first in 1950.
1915.
Yeah, he got it 1912 and sat on it basically for 3 years before he publicly showed the world.
And does it say where he showed it the world?
In London.
Okay, in that case, Michel Junot might have seen it. Mm-hmm. Well, not.
But we have no evidence
have no way
for that.
of. Yeah. I mean, it's highly it's highly unlikely, because back then even taking photos would probably not have been so common, and then for him to finding them. But it does. I mean, you have seen it. You have seen, because even like 10, 20 years ago there were documentaries made on German TV about this thing. So it's something that people have known about it.
That. I never heard of that. Never.
I found it totally fascinating.
Even ring. It's really. I will dig into that, because it's definitely fascinating in real life. But
yeah, I've got a documentary. I'll upload it so that you can watch it. It's 45 minutes. That
would be really
ZDF or something. Yeah.
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 That is.
It's an interesting thing, but it does remind you of it because it's so similar. You have like, I mean, bar. There are two differences. Number one, this is not written on vellum, but then again, if they are as old as people say, people back then wrote, if it had been written on papyrus or paper, it would have been lost. Yeah. Because paper and papyrus isn't as long-lived as vellum is, and way back when they wouldn't have had as much because it would have been even more expensive. So basically writing on tablets in like the years before Christ was quite the norm. This is also why we still have so many things from like 2500 BC, because people were writing on tablets and then were burning them, basically put them in the oven, and then they sent them
Yep.
around. That's how Egyptians and Hittites and so on conversed. So okay, this is a different medium on which it's written, and it doesn't have the paintings and the pictures. But other than that, it does strike you. It looks like writing. It looks like a language, but no one can read it.
I think Amelie would very carefully read again everything she can find around, or she would probably even hit Google, although Celeste will have a heart attack to
She's like,
see.
at least use DuckDuckGo.
Okay, and she will see just if we can be the first one. She will just basically type in tablet Glozel and then the Voynich and just see if anyone else found that connection.
Make a communication check.
That is no doubles, but that is a 9, 12, 14 on communication.
Okay, so that's good enough. Make another one, but this time on occultism.
That is double fours and 1 on the stunt die. So 8, 11 plus 5, 16.
Okay.
And 4 on the stunt
So
die I can use.
you do find some obscure website
Okay.
of someone in France. It's in French.
Okay.
But it's kind of like super obscure. It's one of the ones where you have no references. I mean, anyone can put up a WordPress page and just basically write whatever. And they're like, and this is, and for them it's aliens.
Sure. Well, maybe
But
not
they say that
far
it's like, it's like the same race that wrote the Voynich manuscript created those tablets.
Okay. Amelie would at least see that we have proper pictures or from the tablets as well. Either if you can buy a book here that has them all in.
There are no photos allowed, but you can buy a catalog, and that's
Yeah,
actually
then-
it's in full color plates. That is actually expensive. That's like 40 euros because it's a real book.
It's worth it. Amelie would definitely
And
see.
Celeste kind of like goes, take this one, and she hands you an Amex card. She says, this is expensive. Use this one.
Okay. Yeah, it's for research, obviously. So yes, we will buy that. And we would still, at least Amelie would still want to go through everything else to understand the history. Clearly always having a peek at, we know the tablets, there's something, but also anything around the ruins. Portal.
Okay. So what you do see
Templars,
as well,
whatever we can find.
there are also pictures of the time when it was excavated, like photographs that were taken at the time in the 1920s. And they're basically, again, there is no discussion around the fact that there is a big dispute, or was a big dispute, if this is real or not. So, and then it's almost like a folk museum. So they say that this is a spade that was used in 1920. This is one of those pickaxes that was used in 1920. Lots of documentation around the actual digs, because there was more than one, so it went on for over a decade. Also other things that they found, because the tablets weren't the only things. They found coins. They found like Roman coins, like Phoenician coins. So again, when they are put into context, some say, possibly Glozel is, or the area around Glozel is very well placed as a thoroughfare for north-south travel from what was then Lutetia down to the sea, to the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
And it could have been that, and it has always been believed, and this is also borne out by, the coins and stuff that was found, that there was kind of like a merchant center here, that possibly people came from the Mediterranean. They basically landed their ships to the south of Glozel. Let me see. Is it Marseille?
Marseille is quite a bit away from Glozel, isn't it?
Let me see. Google Maps. Glozel. So basically, in Marseille, they would have landed, and then they would have gone north towards Paris. And due to the basically, they would have passed by that area. So there would have been a north-south route from Marseille or Marsilia way back when, which was actually a Roman port as well, up to Lutetia. There's also an east-west route that dates that was also used by the Celts. So basically, from Glozel, so basically from the Atlantic coast, the Bay of Biscay, through right through northern Italy, Turin, Milano, Turin, of course the Alps, and then of course you've got Switzerland just to the north, and of course in Switzerland you had that was the Celts that Caesar killed, the ones in Helvetia. So basically there would have been a lot of Celtic movement from east to west as well. So that would have happened around this area, Lyon, Vichy, Glozel. So it does make perfect sense that this would have been a center. And also, especially way back when, it was a little bit warmer than it is today. Or it's getting there again, but during Roman times, the climate would have been even better for growing wine. It would have been even warmer, and this would have been like the granary for the area. So the Romans could have used this to feed their troops simply by just using because this is something that is also known even like 500 before Christ. This was rural area where people were growing wheat. And of course they might have sold it as well. So that's what you learn as well. And then they do talk about, of course, the Knights Templar and the religious upheaval, and where people were killed left, right, and center by the Pope and by the King of France. The Albigenser crusade, which we talked about earlier, where they basically uprooted everybody. The Cathars as well. So that was in that area, not in Glozel proper, or what is today Glozel. And they do talk about the ruins. This was a castle. Well, the castle is the wrong word. More like a Zwingburg, like a Trutzburg. So more like where you would have a couple of knights, rather than basically Lord and Lady, what's their names, to control the area, because again, rich country. And at the time, it was also not part of France. It was still part of Burgundy.
Okay. It would be a stronghold or fortress.
Yeah, perfect. Stronghold. Yeah, like
I'm
really,
just like, I know what you mean, that it's not a castle, but yeah, fortress, stronghold.
It's a stronghold, yeah.
So really military.
Yes, a military
focus.
Installation. Absolutely, yeah. That's what this would have been.
Okay.
And basically it was abandoned, so it was given up. And then basically it just wasn't maintained by anyone, because once it became part of France proper, there was no local military anymore but the King of France.
Did they date when the ruins, or basically on the ruins part, when when was it built roughly, if they have any ideas?
The da, 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 da. Um the dates the ruins date back to the 12th century.
Okay.
Yeah. And they just locally just call it the castle, although it's not a castle. It's yeah.
Okay. I think Amelie. I don't know how Celeste takes note. Amelie has a notebook with her and a paper and pen, and she's like scribbling and writing and connections and marks and checking for later. And she's, I have no idea if Celeste is like plopping a laptop or tablet or whatever she does.
She has a tablet, yes, and she actually has one of those. What do we call them?
Basically the pens. It's called pen as well.
Yeah, and she basically just uses a pen, and she's super fast with it. And then she looks at you and she says, "No internet connection whatsoever. This is completely off the grid."
Still, this. After all my knowledge from movies, that still can be hacked. This cannot.
Well, they would have to tear out my eyeball for it.
Okay.
Then she looks at you and she says, "Come to think of it, they did this in this one Doctor Who episode."
You never. Well, I'm curious to have a peek at the church. Just curiously when it was built and if there are any signs, because church, Templars, you know.
Okay, so
after we went through all of it, and we can come back another day if we want to revisit something.
But
with
I
a heavy
will say
book under my arm.
That actually looking at all of this and doing the research that you have just done, I mean, would have taken you 3 hours.
Yeah,
because you were looking at stuff, you were reading the plates.
Yeah.
And reading the information. So I would say this was 3 hours. And I would say that you're kind of a little bit tired. So now would be a good time to have a cafe.
Should we maybe at least first have a peek at the church? I think the church will be quite quickly.
Okay.
And then settle down for lunch and then move on. Just because I'm curious, Celeste. Come on.
Yeah, no, you go to the church.
I will hand her a bar of chocolate, a snackage.
She gratefully eats it.
Hungry Celeste is, I don't think, a good Celeste, so Amelie's like, come on, but I'm curious if we can find anything. Because on churches, usually they know when it's built, so you find dates and things like that.
Okay, so basically, you arrive at the church. It's not the biggest church, because, again, the place is small, and it does have a sign on it, like, you know, on the lintel. And it says 1801.
Okay.
And you can also tell, because, I mean, we spoke about this. You have not only done art history, but, you know, architecture would be part and parcel of this as well. So you know some things about architecture. This is like a modern church, so it's not old.
Yeah,
I mean, okay, it's 200 years.
No,
well, it's 200.
It's old.
24 years or 223 years, but it's not old. And it's called St. Saviour's. So,
is there a chance to go inside?
Yeah, it's open. It's a Catholic church. It's open. It's nice and cool inside. And well, it's got pews and everything. There's kind of like there's the altar. There's a Christ figure. There is also, of course, an altar to Mary, because it's a Catholic church, so they do have, and of course there are local saints as well. What you do notice is that there are no graves inside the church, so nobody was buried inside the church and then a slab was put over them. But also the church is right next to the to a graveyard, that is Glozel graveyard. And basically then there is like a little offering box where you can put money in. There's a baptismal font. So it looks like any other Catholic church that you have been in France.
I think Amelie would still, well, she would focus on, can you find anything like Templar symbols? Clearly the church is built much after, but you never know. And she would be curious then also to have a look at the cemetery to see if the graves are really just basically from 1800 onwards, or if there's anything older. Celeste will have a lot of reading and looking with her. That is no doubles, but that is still a 12 on the die, plus, did you say searching or perception?
Occultism.
Occultism. Then it's
5.
12, 17.
Okay, so what you find, because for your searching it would also be 17, that's what I just noticed, because it's the same. You find nothing that relates to the Templar, Knights Templar. It's really just the basic Catholic symbolism, no port, cross or anything, no fleur de lis. I mean, you have read Da Vinci Code, you have basically, you know, seen the Rosslyn Chapel pictures and stuff. There is nothing that would remind or indicate anything that isn't proper Catholic.
So excluded that this is not part of our interests.
Yeah. So you go to the churchyard next, where we have the graveyard.
Yeah. Just curious if we find anything that is older. I don't think we'll stumble over name, because we have no idea which names could be interesting. So it would be just age-wise if there's anything older than 1800.
You find a plaque.
Okay.
Well, first of all, it says that this is the new churchyard of Glozel. So it was opened when the church was opened, so 1801. And when you look at the gravestones, they date back to the early 19th century.
Yeah.
And it also tells you that in the past, prior to this, everyone was buried in what is called Champ des Morts, which simply means field of the dead, Lichfield. And basically, that there's a little bit of a superstition around the Champ des Morts, namely that it's haunted. And you know, and people say that at night you can hear stuff and you can see things, and there's lights every so often, especially on the night of the 1st of May. So basically the night 30th of April to 1st of May, which is also known as Walpurgisnacht. So basically, and of course 31st of October. And basically, when the new church was built, it was decided to give up that Lichfield because, you know, it's closer to. This is now in the village rather than to the north of it. And basically, the names are all kind of like what you would expect from this area. No people starting with LE, because that would be Le, that's Bretagne, so it sounds like southern French, Lyon, Vichy area from the name perspective here. And people live here, die here. You don't find anything like exceptionally young people dying in their droves that you say, oh, maybe they sacrifice their children. That's not happening. There are some kids that die, but then there are also a lot of people who live well into their 80s and 90s. Not too many either, where you're like, is this kind of like an immortal thing going on?
No, I
It's like
think
a normal graveyard.
yeah. Then I think age-wise, I think interesting is then the point to the I wrote down the death feels
Yeah.
feel of the dance and be like, maybe that is a place we can use your equipment as well. Not today, but might be
And I
worth.
think if at all, we should use it at night. And she
May-
smiles at you.
yeah, first of all, visit at daytime and see if
Mm-hmm.
tingly feelings come up.
Mm-hmm.
But let's grab some late lunch. Come on.
So you go to the pub.
Yes.
And again, it's soup of the day. Today is apparently vegetarian day, so it's actually a really nice vegetable soup with, you know, baguette cut up. There is cheese if you want it. There is a crude board if you like, and they offer you cider. That's the drink of the day. That seems to be what people are drinking, and of course water. But if you want to, of course, this is France. You can also have wine.
I think cider would be something Amelie would. Although it's warm, right? No, she
Yeah.
wouldn't drink alcohol. It's. Would she be on vacation? I'm quite sure she would have a cider. We have for Amelie. This is like we have work investigation. We have to need. We need a clear head. No alcohol, clearly. So she would just take water, something to eat.
Yeah.
Because alcohol and the heat. No. If you wanna, especially then also climb ruins, make sure you don't want to break your neck. So no,
Yeah.
she would definitely left also the wine she bought at the hotel or at the bed and breakfast at the chateau, not
Yeah.
having it with us.
Having said this, there are people who are having late lunch who are drinking a glass of wine.
As I said, Amelie, if she would
Yeah.
be on vacation here, she would, but at the moment, at least she wouldn't touch alcohol. For the evening, it's fine, but not. No.
I'll say it's now around 3 o'clock by the time you finish your lunch, because you do
Yeah.
take your time, I assume. Or do you
For
wolf it
l-
down?
No, for lunch, I think it would be a short break because
Okay.
at least Amelie would like to visit the ruins.
Okay, so
Not
then
sure
it's
how
2
Celeste
o'clock.
sees it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we have dinner. We will have dinner at the chateau. So
So do you want to take the car and drive to the foot of the hill?
Yes.
Or do you? Okay, so you take the car.
we take the car as far as we can are allowed to go. That's why the evening before I asked Marie on where should we park. What is her recommendation? And
So it's basically it's not really, it's a dirt road.
yeah,
It does say chateau. So there is kind of like or whatever the French word for ruin is, and there's also the symbol, like how they have those touristy signs. Basically, this is like the ruin symbol.
Yeah.
So you follow this, and then there is it's not, I wouldn't call it a parking lot, but you can see the people have parked there. So basically, and then you can see it. It's not difficult to see. There is a hill, which you would say is probably around 300 meters above your level. And it's very steep. Which of course means once you're up there, it's very nice because it's very defensible. Because everybody would fight an uphill battle.
yeah, which is
And also it is a commanding view of the landscape, because the landscape itself is more or less flat.
yeah.
There are vineyards, but they are further to the south, and there the land rises again. But this is basically, it's like a plateau, and it commands, and you pretty much believe that once you're up there, you will be able to see Glozel.
Cool.
So do you climb?
Yes.
Okay. Now this
So
is
locking the car, leaving clearly the heavy book and things like that in the car, but we would make sure to have at least some snack and something to drink with us.
yeah. Now it is arduous because it's hot. The sun is beating down. There is no clouds in the sky, and it is steep. So
Yeah.
it takes a while, and not because it's so far, but simply because it's arduous. You're not making a lot of progress. You're slow. Once you're up there, you see the ruins are really ruins. You know, there are some walls that basically, you know, there is a wall half broken over here, then there is nothing, and then there's another wall. You can see that there used to be a window. You know also how these old churches in England look, that you know find in the middle of nowhere where there's no roof anymore. You see two walls and then maybe there's a back wall. So that's what this looks
Yeah.
like. What you can see, it is a fairly sizable structure, maybe 20 meters by 20 meters. So it's more, it's almost a perfect square, and it covers the whole top of this hill. The hill itself isn't very big. So it really was, like you said, a military installation, a fortress. And there is the remnants of a tower. And you can see that there is a staircase, a stone staircase inside, but that has been blocked off. And there is a sign
Security.
saying danger and don't
Yeah.
climb and so on.
I think when we're up there, it's first of all like
Yeah.
getting a drink, catching breath, just like at least down will be, well, still problematic but easier. Do you get tingly feelings? I think Amelie would try to concentrate if there are tingly feelings here.
Then make a communication check to see if you get tingly feelings.
Not with not too bad when I think of it. That is 12 again, so 14. No, nothing for the stunt eye.
10, 11, 13. No, you don't feel anything. You feel
Celeste?
sweat trickling down the back of your neck.
You are our tingly meter. I just get it by accident.
No, you don't. She looks around and she says, but here I can't feel anything. At least not now. Maybe it's different at night.
So if there is a portal here...
Something tells me it's not here. I mean, they were talking about a cave. This is everything except a cave. It's up.
Yeah, that's
cave
true.
is down.
So maybe under the fortress?
Make a search roll.
I think I would
She will do a
also
perception
pull
check.
out Google Maps again, and or anything like that, and would try to see if she can find anything that looks like it. That was not really. What am I rolling?
Searching.
Oh, then it's a 15.
Okay, and she
And I have
did
double twos with a
Okay.
2 on the stunt die. If it
she
helps.
helps you with her perception, and she actually rolled 2 5s, and one of those 5s is on the stunt die, so you get to whatever you have, you add her stunt die, which is 5.
Okay, then we are at 20.
Okay. So,
No, we are not. I said 12.
what did you roll?
No, I rolled 2 2s and a 6. So
That's
10,
10
on
plus
the
5.
dice, plus 5, 15, and
So
her
20.
5, so 20.
Okay. So basically, you look really, really hard at the ground. And you notice that this is, and you actually go to great lengths. So you dig around in the dirt a little, and you notice that this is not a hill. Well, yes it is, but it's stone.
Yeah.
So chances are that if there was a cave, it wouldn't be a natural cave, but somebody actually had to dig into the stone and build a cellar. But that doesn't look like it at all. It doesn't look like it. It really looks like they built this thing on the rock face of this hill. So chances are that if there is a cave, chances are that this is not the place where the cave that the Knights Templars were referring to is this is not the same place.
Or it would be at the foot of the hill somewhere.
Yes, yeah, maybe, but not up here.
Down, but not up here.
I mean, having said this, she says, and she looks around, if I wanted to hide something, and if I wanted to seal it, I would seal the cave and then build a stronghold on it. That would make perfect sense. To make sure that nobody comes in. But then I would actually build it on the cave mouth or in front of it rather than higher up. Because if the cave is at the foot of the hill, people could still get in. They wouldn't even have to get up.
You could still close it up. Let's have a stroll through the ruins just to see if we can...
Well, I mean, having said this, there isn't that much to stroll through. It's really just a couple of walls, so you've done this in like 10 minutes. Or are you going to try and climb the tower?
No.
Okay.
We want to get out here alive.
No, I'm just
please?
asking because you could try.
Yes, if there... No, even with tingly feelings, no. And any stone... No, forget it. I think still it might be worth a chance to look at the foot of the mountain.
So you climb down again?
Because you can still disguise it or close it up as well. The tablets were found up here in the ruins, right?
No. They were found north of the Champ des Morts. This ruin has nothing to do with the tablets at all.
Okay.
So basically maybe I should have actually explained this. The whole excavation that happened on the ridge above the Champ des Morts.
Okay, then...
So north of Glozel.
Okay, so the cave would be rather up there. Okay, I thought they were connected.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you don't know because the ruins themselves are not mentioned in the local museum. Besides the fact that they say also they date back to the 12th century, but you know it was it's not the focus of the story of Glozel. It's more like oh they're there too, but you know.
I think then we just enjoy the view.
And you can see Glozel from here. And you can also see the Champ des Morts, because that's kind of like this large open area beyond Glozel.
Amelie will take pictures with the phone, also just because it looks pretty, probably.
It does. Maybe a little bit... It's a little bit nondescript. It's not like there are any interesting landmarks. You can see a couple of houses and a church, that's Glozel, and then behind it is like... Yeah. But it isn't unpretty.
I think tomorrow the fields might be a visit. Well...
Absolutely. And that will bring some equipment. And of course, you and me might feel tingly feelings.
Then let's go downstairs, maybe head back, I will say home, which is not home, but our chosen home for here. And I would be curious to peek my nose more into the book that we got and the manuscript to see
the Voynich
really
manuscript.
If my idea of just to see what we can find that looks similar. I know the manuscript is massive, but just with a bottle of wine, just sit there and just have a peek through it. I think that would be nice.
Okay,
because
so
honestly, after this climb, I'm done. I need a shower.
So you go home to the hotel.
Yeah. We very carefully climb down the hill without hopefully breaking ankles or necks.
You are fine climbing down.
Good.
So you arrive and so basically you are informed when lunch will when dinner will be.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And then you go upstairs, so you have like easily 2 hours before dinner. And you basically, have your shower and stuff. And then you go online because you want to find information about the Voynich manuscript, and you find a couple of things because, of course, you can also buy it as a book. So basically, there are facsimile. They're not even that expensive, but it is available online.
Yeah, she would make sure to get it online because the book
Yeah.
will take too long probably.
So basically, I'm going to send you a link just for the fun of it. It's on the Internet Archive, and it is an ebook which you can open and which you can then actually see in its entirety.
Cool.
And yeah, it's kind of crazy, but it is all available. I'm gonna put it in the chat, and for this, I would like to ask you to make 2 extended rolls because this is going to take a while.
Yeah, I think it's rather starting it. I highly doubt we will do it in one.
Yeah, I guess
one
you would
day.
actually need 2 evenings to actually fully, or even 3 to fully appreciate
now that I
the book.
see some of the the drawings,
Yeah.
I must have heard or read or seen something about
Yeah,
it because
I'm pretty sure.
drawings ring a bell.
Yeah.
Holy hell.
Yeah.
Okay. So, extensive rolls. What should I roll?
Okay, so can I ask you to roll for I would say that's intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Simply intelligence, because this is not evaluation, because it is valuable because it's rare.
Yeah,
it's
but it's not
one of its
about
kind,
getting the
and not
value.
occultism either, because
yeah. So intelligence is done +3. First roll is 14 on the dice +3. So first one is a 17.
And then please make another roll.
No stunt die to use. The second one is not as good. That is an 11 +3, so 14.
Okay, so basically you go through. So basically, the first evening, what you do is you just do a brief. Okay, you see that there is plenty of plants. So this may be a herbology book if it actually contains information. But when you look at it, kind of like, yeah, it does look like, somebody drew plants, but then again, maybe not as accurately as even at that time people could have done, because we were saying this was maybe 14th century, so, or 15th century actually, I believe. Yeah, 15th century. And let me just take one quick look. Yeah, it predates Michelangelo, but even back then people could draw more precise drawings of if you really were into let's say
it was not the artist of the artists that
yeah,
did
so
the
basically
drawings.
if this was either, let's say, a herbologist or a kind of like a biologist, that kind of thing, this isn't precise enough.
Yeah.
But then again, if it's not so precise, who is this for? So it is for you, it's a puzzle, but what you do is you just basically look through it. Then you also see the picture of the little dragon figure. So then it goes into the kind of like definitely into the fantastic, although having
Fantasy, yeah.
said this, in old books, especially also books that, you know, like were copied in monasteries, I mean, unicorns were a thing. It was believed that they existed. Of course,
Yeah.
we know they don't, but that was something that at the time in the 13th or 12th centuries people believed, and there were drawings of them, and people thought, okay, this is what they look like, and they do exist. And dragons, of course, are real. So it kind of is this. This is the impression that you're getting. So I would say you can spend the first evening with these two roles, getting a feeling for it, a kind of like of what's in it or what it could be, and starting to think about it. Um, but I would say that if you want to really sit down and compare, let's say, the writing with the writing on the tablets, you would need 2 more evenings.
Okay. Then we will start working on it, and these drawings are doing, and
But
the writing is just, this is so crazy.
yeah, but I mean, what you can do is you can also split the work with Celeste, if you like.
Yes, we will. I
Then
think
she
we'll
will
work on
also
it
make 2
together,
rolls
except
for
she has
intelligence.
something else that she wants to do. But I think that would be our main focus.
14, 16 on her first roll. Also just straight up intelligence, and then 9, 11, 13. So she isn't that great help because it's simply not her thing. It doesn't have any pyramids, and it's also not a UFO. But you know, she can, you know, she will sit down, and she will maybe even, what she will do is she will take one page and focus on this one, and say where there's a lot of writing on it and not so many pictures, and then
Just
say,
focus
okay,
on,
compare it to one tablet
yeah,
where there's a lot of writing, and try and see,
yeah.
can she see similarities.
I
Which on the
think
first
that's,
evening she's like, this is all Greek to me. It means nothing. Maybe we need more time with it. But she also doesn't say that she feels it's not the same. So because basically, if you take Greek, the Greek alphabet, and you compare it, you take a text in Greek and you compare it to a text in Hebrew, you can say immediately those two don't look anything like each other, you know? But here it's less clear if there are similarities or not. So it's not something you see at first glance.
yeah.
So these are more like each other than, let's say, Greek and Hebrew when you look at them. So that's what you do on the first evening, and then of course there is evening meal.
Yeah.
So you go downstairs and have dinner.
We will go downstairs, have dinner.
Okay. So and you sit down, and basically dinner is served, and the families are there, the others, and basically they talk a little bit. They also ask you how your day was, and basically, and then after dinner, Marie says, can I have a word? I've spoken to my husband, and I've told him about the fact that there was somebody outside your window, and we've borrowed the neighbor's dogs for the night.
That might be. I just hope it was basically just.
So if you hear sniffing tonight, then that's them.
It's a dog's thing. Thank you so much. I
And
hope.
and she points outside, and it's those really big setters, those really huge Gordon setters, and there's like 3 of them, and they're basically roaming the garden, and the kids
New
have
things
seen
to
them.
sniff.
Yeah. And then basically they say, well, can we play with them? She says, yeah, they have a couple of balls over there, so you can throw them. They are very nice dogs. And then she looks at him and she says, actually, they're a bit stupid. I'm not sure if they will do any good, but people maybe
They
not
will.
know.
Yeah, that will not hurt. But
Yeah.
thank you for all the inconvenience. We are then.
Oh, it's not an inconvenience at all for me. It's more of an inconvenience for you. And I still am very mortified by the fact that somebody was standing outside and in front of your, well, down from your window, because that shouldn't have happened. And I can assure, well, I was talking to my husband, had he been there, and he was like, well, he hasn't even worked on that part of the house because, you know, sometimes, you know, there are things where he basically cleans and or does stuff, but he also hasn't been there, so we don't know. what that was.
Let's just hope we have a quiet night and nothing happens.
But
we'll
you have to promise me, if there is anything, you dial 0. It doesn't matter what the time is, okay? We take pride in keeping our guests happy.
Thank you. But I really hope we see you at breakfast. That's my hopeful wish.
Yeah. So it's now round about, I would say, probably about 8, maybe 7:30. Do you still want to sit outside because it's a lovely evening? And you can see
I think
Celeste
yes.
kind of
I think we
looking.
would sit a little bit outside, just relaxing now, and also just like no more staring at books and signs, and just like let everything sink in a little. I think that's something. Just process.
And basically then, you know, the usual, so basically there are little lanterns for you guys, so it is very cozy. It's also it's kind of like a terrace kind of thing, veranda, but it's also even if there was wind, which there isn't at the moment, it would be kind of sheltered.
Sheltered, yeah.
So it's warm because this is a flagstone paved terrace. So they have been sitting and baking in the sun all day, so now they're giving off the heat, and it is really lovely. It's dark already, and she's again placing those little lights that basically, or those scented, whatever they are, candles to keep off the midges, and basically then there are little tea lights and little lanterns on the tables, and it is. Yeah, and of course it's in the countryside, so unlike Paris, it's very quiet. You can hear, like, you know, owls, and every so often you see a flitting shadow that's probably a bat. You are in the middle of nature, and it is quite dark as well, because this is again away from Glozel, it's away from Vichy, it's a little bit elevated because it does have a little vineyard by its side, and you can see there is hardly any light pollution, so you can see the sky, and it is lovely, and you can see the Milky Way.
Yeah, and you will hear the cicadas.
Yeah, of course we do.
For sure, because that is what I remember, at least from South France in summer.
And I would assume that probably also you smell the trees and the local flora, you know, and it's, I mean, Celeste is basking in it. She's really enjoying this. She really loves it. She's from the city, so for her this is kind of like great.
I think both of us enjoys it, just also to have still a little bit of vacation and downtime than this way anyhow. But at least Amelie would not. Well, it has been a long. Well, it has been.
Yeah, it has been a very long day. Yeah.
And we need to set up a few things. So I don't think we would stay up too late. So we would probably then say our good nights and would go upstairs.
You go upstairs.
Prep everything, set up things, lock the window, lock the door, push everything under the door handle, so at least that no one can get easily in through the door. Putting the key somewhere far away from the door or window.
Yeah, you can put it on a bedside table. Like,
it would
between
be
the beds.
Or just on one of our bedside table, and then go for the night.
And we shall see next time if you have a lovely quiet night, or if someone or something appears at your window.
We will see.
So then, thank you very much for telling the story with me. Thanks to all of our patrons, and I would like to welcome our latest patron, Blouse, who joined us a couple of days ago. Thanks very much for your patronage. We really love having you, and we hope that you all enjoy this whenever you're listening to this or watching this, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.